And now, Kyle and Steven present another episode of the Go F Yourself podcast.
It's Fix.
Really? Well, that's embarrassing.
The Go Fix Yourself podcast.
Welcome to the Go Fix Yourself podcast, the podcast where we are fixing our worldview, one conversation at a time. I am your co-host, Steven, and digitally joining me today is none other than the other co-host of Go Fix Yourself podcast, Kyle Redding.
Hello, everybody. Super excited to be here. My favorite part of doing these types of episodes is I don't even have to wear pants. I don't have to wear underwear.
Technically, yeah. Are you?
But
showing the camera.
I am today. I just wanted to make sure in case anybody
I want to
was
share
curious.
what I'm wearing too. Old medium build merchandise.
Yeah.
The old Nick Carpenter on my body today.
When I was looking at your shirt, the first thought that went through my head is Tombstone, the movie.
Interesting. I think it's like a Tupac reference. Like I think it's
right, but I mean, like
Yeah.
I just saw the big like mustache and like kind of like a wide brim hat, and I was like, "Oh, is that like two?" And then you're like, "No,
it's I'm your Huckleberry," you know,
Exactly.
that guy.
And I can't even.
Val Kilmer.
I'm blanking on
Val Kilmer.
who. What was his name in that? I can't remember.
I can't either. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie. It's such a
great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah. One of the all times that my dad has shown me that we watched several times together. And now I'm entering that phase with Aiden, where there's certain movies that I'm like, I feel like he should see.
What would you watch that movie with him?
Tombstone, sure.
Yeah.
Tombstone didn't have anything that's like,
I don't remember.
nah.
It was just
there's
violent,
nothing.
I think, right?
Yeah, and I
violent.
mean, yeah, because I'm like he's 14 now, so it's like, where do you kind of draw the line? And I'm trying to instill in him like a love of history and like cool stories, because he's a big like Lord of the Rings fan, like nerdy nerd, right? And I tell him, and I mean, it's cool, like whatever you're into, but I'm just like, he has no idea like a lot of that stuff is based on real stories.
So
like real wars, real battles.
So like
that
Saving
happened.
Private Ryan, you're going to show him that and stuff?
I don't know. That one.
Black Hawk
maybe?
Down. Oh, dude, I love
Well, we
Black
watched
Hawk Down.
we watched Unbroken last night, the Louis Zamperini one, where he gets World War II. He was an Olympics runner.
Oh,
and
yes.
he gets drafted,
Yes.
crashed, and
Yes.
basically tortured by the Japanese.
Oh, interesting.
And it's PG-13. It's not too wild.
No.
But the story is crazy. So it's kind of fun to like go through and be like, this is like, you know, you like freaking, I can't even think of any Lord of the Rings, Gimli and all them, like those stories. But I'm like, how about this guy who actually existed? Okay. He's cooler.
Well, I mean, if I was 14 and my dad was like, all right, let's watch a movie together, I was always like stoked. So I think whatever it is, I'm sure he'll be like stoked on it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's R-rated.
Yeah. That's where I was talking about William Wallace, and we were talking like the
Braveheart.
famous battles, and he was like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a movie about it, right? And I was like, yeah, it's Braveheart. And he's like, can we watch that? I was like,
Yeah.
you know, there's a couple boobs, there's a couple things in there.
We watched a bunch of like, so I mean, a lot of people listening to this podcast, and we'll get to the reason why we're just doing the podcast, just me and Kyle again. But when we were growing up, we always taped movies on TV, and they were always edited. So technically,
right.
we'd watch R-rated movies, but it would be like all the bad
Without the
stuff,
boobs.
without the boobs,
Yeah.
without the like the gore or anything. So you wouldn't see anything. I did watch a lot of movies like that. So I mean, you could watch the edited versions of these movies.
Yeah, I just don't know where to find like.
Boring.
I know it's kind of like Braveheart. Like it's like a love story, and so
Yeah.
like when boobs are like in a love story, it's different for me than it is like in a pornographic setting.
Well, do you not think he's seen boobs?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in the
He's got
idea
access
of like
to boobs, right? He's got like a
not
computer.
really.
An iPad?
Like we have it pretty locked down.
Oh, that's right. You do have.
I'm
it locked
smart.
down. Yeah.
I'm not just letting him free willy on the internet.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that's the difference between our generation and our parents' generation, because my parents, like, sorry, mom and dad, they thought they were pretty smart too. But I mean, like, we were smarter because we knew technology and we knew how to get around those like firewalls or, you know, parental blocks. I mean, VPNs exist and all these like things. So that maybe that's the difference between like our generation and like the next generation is like maybe we think we're pretty smart, but they're smarter with technology because they were. It's like, you know,
I know that sentiment.
You merely adopted the darkness, and I was born into it.
I'm Bane, and he's Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll break his back. Yeah. Yeah. No, I do agree that there is that cockiness that you're like, I know more than my kids do, but kids are sneaky and smarter.
Right.
But I pride myself in staying on top of everything.
Yeah. I
like
mean,
if
you do.
Molly was to say,
You do
like,
pretty well.
Oh,
You do.
I do.
God, I'm such a child myself.
But would you agree? So, like in Braveheart, obviously there's boobs, and it's his wife.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a different setting than where it's like, say, a movie like, what's the one with Halle Berry, Swordfish,
Oh, yeah.
where she's just sitting out topless.
Yeah, but
like,
it's only for like
different.
10,
I
20
agree,
seconds.
but one is based on love between a man and a woman that are getting married, and one is just
boobs for the
gratuitous
sake of boobs. Yeah.
Right. So to me, that's different.
So I'm confused. Which one would you want to show him?
I'd rather it be in the setting
love?
of like love.
Okay. All right.
Versus like, you know, just because we need
You know,
to show nudity.
one of the last podcasts that we talked about Titanic, and I was around Aiden's age when I saw
for sure.
Titanic.
Yeah.
And that's
Because that was what, 90?
yeah, and
Whatever.
yeah, I honestly
95-ish?
couldn't tell you. Yeah, it had to be. It's late 90s, at least when I saw it. And anyway, I mean that was like not a bad introduction into
Yeah, because that
nudity,
wasn't
but also
sex.
it wasn't like super sex, but it was like quick, and it was
and
like
there was sex in it.
oh, I guess
yeah.
there was a little bit of sex, but you don't
In the back
see
of the car.
you don't see anything. You
Yeah.
just see the hand, and then it just goes
Yeah,
away. Yeah. So I mean, maybe that's a good one, and that's also history too. You know,
Yeah, I
Titanic.
think that'd be too boring for him.
Oh man, I watched that recently. Well, not recently, but like, you know, within the last couple years. That is such a good flick. Such a good flick.
Yeah.
And just like knowing
Billy Zane.
Oh man,
You know.
I listened to this podcast. God damn it, what was it called? I honestly can't remember what it's called. But basically, what it is like each season is like based off a director or a writer director, a movie, and they write these scenes. So it's like basically a movie in your head, where you're listening to like an old radio production, but instead of like, you know, a fantastical story about the Lone Ranger, it's about James Cameron. And so basically for 10 episodes of this podcast, you're following James Cameron from, you know, and you're listening to his voice, and he's going through these scenes. He's meeting producers, and he's having these dreams of the Terminator, and then he's going and making Titanic, and you can hear him directing with Leonardo DiCaprio. I can't remember what it's called, but Blockbuster. That's what it was. And it was really, really well done.
You forgot Blockbuster?
No, I think it's Blockbuster. It's not actually like the Blockbuster podcast. But it is phenomenally done. And so like I just remember him saying like, basically on the fly, like, hey Leo, like just say like I'm the king of the world. Like that wasn't scripted. I was just like, hey, just say that. And then of course that's like one of the most iconic lines. It's insane. That movie is just so embedded in our brain, maybe because it was such a big thing at that time.
It was the biggest movie in the world at the time,
Yeah.
like essentially.
I mean,
like,
and then it only got kicked off the mantle like a couple years ago by Avengers
Avatar.
or Avatar.
Wasn't it Avatar?
Yes.
And then-
Okay. Avatar. Well, of course, James Cameron again. Insane.
Yeah.
What a
Mr.
wild,
Submarine, man.
What a wild ride. Okay, so basically, Kyle and I are doing another podcast together. So we did 2 a couple weeks ago, but of course it's the summer, and if you don't live in Alaska,
Well, sort of.
Well, sort
It
of.
doesn't look very summery.
No, it hasn't been. But a lot of things happen during the summer. Of course, people want to get out and they want to do something. They want to travel. And I'm traveling this week, so I'm going to Talkeetna. And so basically schedules, move and all this stuff. So me and Kyle are going to be doing a podcast, just the two of us, the next week or two. And just to kind of, get acquainted with each other again instead of a freaking guest. And then, but also
they really get on my nerves, to be honest.
yeah, but also it's like it's easier for me and you to get together because it's like just two people. But when we do a podcast, it's like the videos. We have an engineer, Matt, and so it's scheduling with him, but also scheduling with a guest or two guests. And so we just
And
decided
the live audience.
we just decided to kind of like the live audience. We just decided to kind of like all right, let's just do a couple, just the two of us, and go back to the basics again. And yeah, here we are. But I do have some stuff I want to talk about, Kyle.
Oh, God. Is it God? He's involved.
No, he's not involved. I mean, yes, he created the I guess
I was going to say, he might be in there.
So we went to see Medium Build at Hope for 2 nights. So me and a bunch of friends and Alicia came for the first night. The first night was just pouring rain, and the second night was great. And both nights were phenomenal. Nick and the band were great. But I did mushrooms for the first time.
And how did you...
Pop!
Like, so we're talking whole mushrooms,
No.
right? Is that...
No. See, and that's another thing,
Picked
too.
them out of the ground.
Yeah, so
And
for people who don't know, we've Kyle and I have talked to people in the last year of like what drugs. We're not really drug people. We're not really drug guys.
We're not drug guys.
drug guys. But basically we're curious about it, right? We're curious about it, and mushrooms is definitely one that keeps popping up the more we talk to people. And so basically I'm going in blind. No idea. And it's like, let's, we're going to do mushrooms tonight. Okay, let's see what that is. And so it's these little capsules. Basically, they grind the mushroom down into powder form, and then they like measure it out and then put it into these capsules. And then you just pop in pills, basically.
Through the mouth.
Through the mouth. No, the butthole.
Okay.
You put it
Okay.
up your butt. Yeah. And
Would
so,
that be quicker?
maybe? I don't know. But well, here's the thing. So I was expecting, for my first time, like I thought I was going to see God. Talk about God. I was like, all right, I'm going to see like colors and moving. No, it's not like that at all. And so basically what happened is we were like a mile away from the show, the venue, Creek Bend, which we have to talk about Creek Bend too, which you've never been to, which is really cool. But basically, so we took the pills and then we walked a mile to the venue, both nights. But the first night, I was like, we get there and we order food, we're having dinner and everybody's getting ready and there's live music, the openers are playing. And they're like, oh, Steven, do you feel anything? And I'm like, no, I don't. They're like, well, what do you feel? And I'm like, I just feel like I'm happy. I'm good. I'm glad to be here with you guys. I'm thankful that we found the time to do this. And I'm just like feeling really good. And they're like, that's the mushrooms. And I was like, oh shit. It wasn't like I was drunk. It was just like a mood elevator. That's
I'm
it.
still waiting for like the pictures to come through of just you sitting in the woods by yourself, like having these conversations like, hey, Steven, how you feeling? I don't know.
That might be coming soon because now I've fucking opened the gate. Now I'm like, I've experienced the minor effects and now I'm ready to talk to God
To go
one-on-one.
wild.
Yeah.
Here's a good question. So let's say
Shoot.
next time you do more shrooms and you do see God and he's standing right in front of you and he's like, hey, Steven, it's been a
what's up?
while.
Hey God.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, let's run that through. Okay, so you're God and I'm Steven.
I'm God.
High on mushrooms. Okay.
Yeah.
And
hey,
scene.
Steven.
Hey. Whoa. Hey God.
I noticed when you were about 12, you started playing with yourself. And I saw everything. And to be honest, That was the weirdest I've ever seen somebody explore their body. And I just have to let you know.
Hold on. Out of billions of people, first off, are you watching?
You
are you
are-
watching everybody?
Everybody,
it?
live feed, everybody.
And you
you,
just like,
sir,
hold on. I got more questions. Are you like
Go ahead.
in the room with us watching?
It's a CCTV.
So you got,
I
like,
got about
you're like
8
Morgan
billion
Freeman.
monitors.
You're like Morgan Freeman in Batman.
Batman.
And you got all these little TV screens. Okay. So you
I almost had to destroy it because it's too much power.
Okay. All right. So
for one person.
So out of billions of people, I was at 12 years old. I was doing it differently. I was doing it weird.
I had to turn it off because it was too much.
Do you turn the CCTVs off like
I have
a
to.
lot?
Actually, I never watched.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
And see.
But what would you say to God?
And scene.
What would you're face to face with him, or what you think is the entity, and then you're like, what questions would you ask?
What questions would I ask God? Man, that is
Like right away. Are aliens real?
I mean, no. I think it would be like more like pointed
Can't
to
be
our
anything in the future.
humanity. More like why, basically. I think it would be
Like-
deep. You know,
Mine would be very shallow.
well, it's like if he. All right, I mean, is the scenario like he's coming? He's like, you got one question, bud. What do you want?
So it's like genie God.
Yeah, he's like,
So
you got three
get
questions.
wi-
All right, so
yeah.
definitely I would talk about like, why are we here? What's the purpose of life? Ooh, bum. And then, he could say 42. And if you get that reference, way to go.
I don't.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Never seen it.
Never seen it? It's a good one.
Never.
Number 2 would definitely be like, are we alone in the universe? And then number 3 would be, man, the thing. What's the cheat code? What are the
To Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, like the cheat. Like, can you give me like a cheat code for like?
Infinite lives.
Yeah, like for life. Like,
Yeah.
Like, if or no,
Like The Sims.
or actually no, I take that back. My third one would be like, what happens after we die?
Okay.
So it's all about like
Yeah.
humanity, and then like I I would come out of those woods, I'd be a changed man and be like, Stephen, are you okay? Like, frickin' guru style.
Yeah, I've always thought about that because how big of a question do you want to ask, and like how much do you want to ruin about being human?
Well, what would
It's like-
what would be your shallow questions then? You said aliens would be one.
Probably aliens on there.
Yeah.
Who killed JFK?
Ooh. I mean, but we know that it's like the FBI,
I mean,
CIA.
I
like
want
the government.
I want answers.
Yeah.
I want the guy. And then I'd probably do kind of like a Back to the Future thing, like what's the answers to like some sports betting that I could set myself up for
nice.
nicely.
Actually, why don't you just be like, is time travel real, and how do I achieve it? So like a two for one in there. That would be something like, kind of.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm not ready to meet him, to be honest.
No,
I
I'm
don't
not
have my
either.
questions ready.
No. Anyway, so to go back, so mushrooms. I'm now.
A believer.
Yeah, I like him. And so, of course, I know, like, we took very small doses. So people were telling me, like, a gram of the mushrooms is a lot. And these little capsules were, like, 0.1, right? 0.2.
Okay.
So very, very small doses. And then we would just take a couple of them, like, throughout the night. And it was just kind of, I don't know, like, here I am normally, and I would have had fun. But then I felt like it just kind of was like, bloop. Just a little bit up top, not too bad, but I felt good, and so it kind of like opened up the doors. And now I'm kind of like, all right, what is a gram gonna look like, or what is a gram and a half, or 2 grams gonna look like? So
let me ask you this: What
is it
would
illegal to be talking about this stuff? Like if the cops. This is where our fucking drug knowledge is. If the cops listen to this and they're like, oh, he's doing drugs.
I may or may not have done mushrooms.
Listen, this is all allegedly.
Allegedly
it's
for
all
legal
fiction.
purposes.
Is
Yeah.
it? I don't
Is
know.
it or isn't it?
I don't know.
So let's say that you you may or may not have tried mushrooms in the future, what would the price point be for you to get that experience? Because that's where I always draw the line.
Is money?
Like, well, like, okay, so to like get drunk will cost you $20, right?
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, I don't know. You can buy a bottle with.
Yeah.
But like, you're obviously having to spend money to achieve this, like marijuana.
Right.
Like to get high will cost you $20
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
For that feeling that you got from mushrooms, how much would you pay to get that feeling?
I don't know.
Like if somebody's like, Friday night, like you give me this much money, I'll get you this many shrooms so you can feel like that again. What would that price point
like
be?
$20.
'Cause that's always
I don't think it would be like much. I mean, I understand like why people microdose now, because in my head, first off, people, like they were doing it every day, and I was like, damn, they're tripping balls every day. And then
some people
and then I
probably do.
did them, and I was like, oh, I'm not tripping balls. I'm like completely fine. I just feel like a little bit lighter. And so I think, $10 to $15 to get that little boost.
yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, it's like one of those things. It's like if the moment's right, I'm just like, yeah, sure, hell yeah, give me some of those bad boys. So I'm like, I don't know. I know that I am going to buy a ton more, allegedly. Allegedly.
I may or may not.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always think about that, like supplements and all those different things. When you start adding them, like for instance, Athletic Greens, is on every
Right,
ad for
right.
every podcast.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you can't start your day without this. And then when you start pricing it out, it's like $5 a day times,
Yeah.
$365.
Well, that's
and you're like,
expensive. But I mean,
well, sure, but
mushrooms, I mean, I have a bunch of friends who do grow them, and so that's like nothing for them, right? And so it's like, they could take a little bit every day if they wanted to, and it would be fine. I think if they're selling it or donating it to someone, and you're
As
paying,
a tax write-off.
you're paying
Yeah.
their charity or something. I think there's a little bit of difference, but I don't know. I think I was like, okay, I understand the basics, I guess, and now I'm ready to take that next step. So that's my drug experience of the last
that you
week.
may or may not have had.
Yes, possibly.
Jesus, you would do the worst in court.
Oh,
guys, I definitely.
Did you? No, there's no way I would be a lawyer, or I'd be awful. Actually, I do have jury duty. I have to.
You're actually perfect for jury duty because they'd be like, this guy, he's honest.
No, they're gonna kick me out. I know. I might get picked, and I might have to go in. But I think I'll definitely get kicked out for sure.
I got selected for jury duty, and I went through the process where they start interviewing each of you to kind of see what your biases are. And so we're sitting in a group, and the charge was a underage kid was driving under the influence of marijuana.
Okay.
So he was 20, and he got a DWI?
Yeah.
Or D...
Driving
whatever
while
it is.
under
Intoxicated.
Yeah, whatever.
DWI. Yeah. Anyways, so they're going through, and they're asking everybody, and I was like, I do not want to be here. Like,
Yeah.
I need to get out of this.
You're like,
fast.
I ate some bad tuna last night. I have explosive diarrhea.
No, and so they start going around. They're like, juror number whatever. Like, do you have any? What's your feelings towards marijuana? And they start asking different people this, and they get to me, and I say this, and I'm like, looking back, I'm like, God, I probably look like such an idiot. I was like, I don't really have a problem with the devil's lettuce.
You
like,
said that?
Yeah, I was
Quote?
because I was like,
The devil's lettuce?
Yeah, because I was
God.
just like, they're gonna think that I'm okay with it, and they're gonna kick me out because they obviously don't want me on the jury to convict him.
Right.
I was just like, yeah, I don't really have a problem with the devil's lettuce. Like, I kind of feel like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, and then they got done with asking the questions. They're like, juror number 7 is good to go, good to leave. Juror, I was like, thank goodness.
Oh man.
It's like you really have to take a really biased side of something.
Yeah. Have you seen Jury Duty?
The
the
Polly
no the TV show.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
I think there's an old movie like.
Yeah, I think you're
Pauly
right.
Shore
No,
or something.
this TV show is more recent, and it's basically the whole premise. And I won't try to give too much away. Is that everything is staged? So like everybody, the judge, the lawyers, the defendants, and the jury, and everybody, paparazzi, everybody is actors except for one guy. And so actually, like, he, somehow they make a set and make it believable, and he comes
Like,
in.
who is the one guy? Is it a different person each time? Like, a
No,
different,
so
like,
it's a whole
position?
it's a whole season of like this 2-week trial, literally, that they held up in their hotel. They were sequestered, right? So they couldn't go anywhere. They could only be
Right.
with each other. And so they had him mic'd up. And so basically how they sold it to the guy is like they're documenting what it's like to be a juror. And so he thought it was like a real trial and everything. And then James Marsden, the actor from X-Men,
Cyclops. Right?
Cyclops, yes. He's in it as James Marsden, and he's like such a fucking dick. He's like over the top, like actor bullshit. Anyway,
Right.
A phenomenal show, because I mean, this guy is just living life, and he has no idea everybody around him is an actor and faking it, which is kind of sad.
sounds like punked.
Oh,
like,
it is, but
serious.
it's just one. It's the whole show. The whole first season is just like literally him and all these characters.
What was that one show where they did like kind of like scary like pranks on somebody, and it was always like one person, and then they would like take it to like a pretty extreme. It wasn't punked, but it was like similar to that idea, like where somebody would be going through a haunted house or something, and then somebody would like
Die.
get murdered or something, or an alien
It
would
sounds
show
like
up.
Eric Andre. That sounds like his kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called, but I was always like extreme version of punked kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Did you see Eric Andre's, like, one of his new viral videos? It was like him and his girlfriend. They're like walking down a Saturday market, and then like this one guy comes up to her and is like, "What's up, mama? Like, well, can I get your number?" And right in front of Eric Andre, and then she just beats the shit out of this guy. Like, how dare you talk to me in front of my boyfriend like that? And then she looks around, and then she sees the blind guy. She's like, "What the fuck you looking at?" And she beats the crap out of him, grabs his stick, and just starts wailing on him. And people are trying to stop. And like, then all of a sudden, Eric
like
Andre
that.
and her just run off. And I was like, what a fucking wild idea, man. That's insane. It's like, it's like,
like
Tim Robinson meets like Jackass almost.
Gotcha.
It's wild.
Yeah, I've been seeing, speaking of I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson, I've been seeing a lot of skits by different people coming out, and they are 100% influenced by his types
yeah.
of skits nowadays.
Yeah. Which is funny
It's,
because
like,
wasn't
insane.
he
Like,
on
everybody-
SNL?
For a short period of time,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, well, I don't know exactly how short, but essentially he did not pop until he did this.
Right.
And they were like, they're doing like the "don't do the voice," like,
Oh
you know,
my
like
gosh, they're
his
really going for it.
right. Like they have this like kind of sub voice that's like an internal dialogue, and then like the goofy like, really, like it's just
wow.
everything is over the top characteristics, and I'm just like, how does nobody? And then you read the comments, and then everybody's like, this definitely has I Think You Should Leave vibes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's hot right now.
But good for him for like a whole genre.
Yeah.
Like essentially of comedians that want to do that.
It's like Tim and Eric started that, right? I mean, like that kind of like weird vibe of just like doing like stupid short skits, right?
Yeah.
Tim and Eric.
I don't know I forget the other guy's name that kind of, it's the old guy that's bald in the like car skit where he's like,
Oh yeah.
he's the other guy.
He's the
that,
weird
like,
one
started.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh
if,
God.
if I flip this bottle, you like your mother-in-law or whatever.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, I Think You Should Leave. You should
Yeah.
watch. I haven't finished the newest season though.
Really?
I've just been behind.
Oh, wow.
I haven't been in the mood for comedy lately.
Okay. What have you been in the mood for?
Dark.
Yeah,
No,
typical.
I haven't. I've been. What have I been watching? I finished Banshee.
Okay.
I had to get through that.
I did watch that first episode.
Yeah. I'm not a multidisciplinary show watcher.
You fucking dork.
I'm a one genre guy at a time.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I had to finish Banshee before I even like glanced at another thing.
Right.
And then now that I finished it, I'm like, well, that was a big waste of 4 seasons of watching television. Like, I need to take a break. And so, sadly, I've been watching just a lot of old reruns of golf.
What? That's not bad. That's not bad.
I mean, that probably bored somebody to sleep just saying that, but it's true.
I mean,
I've done it.
No, it's not bad. I mean, it's what you're into. Are you watching it? Like, are you fixated on it, or is it kind of in the background?
I mean, I just watch it at night. Like when I'm falling asleep, like I'll watch like great golf rounds,
Gotcha.
and history or something,
Okay.
and it just
That's
like
not
puts me
horrible.
to sleep. Yeah, you know, we all have our vices. You got mushrooms,
Yeah.
sort of, maybe or maybe not. I have
Allegedly.
golf. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm getting ready for a lot of golf coming up. I got
Still?
a lot of holes to play. Oh my god, I got 4 weeks in a row of tournaments.
Damn. I didn't know it
Yeah,
was like.
I'm about to hit it hard.
What are we talking about tournaments? Like, was that the 4-day, like start
So I have
Thursday?
I have a state match play this week, so starts Thursday.
Okay.
Then the next week I have a big kind of like pro-am multiple day thing
Okay.
called the Palmer Invitational. And then the next week I have the state amateur. And then the next week I have the Birdie Juice Cup.
I do know. I'm familiar with the birdie juice.
So are a lot of
Here's
people.
one question that's been plaguing my mind, and we might have talked about this. Is like, what like gets you up? What are you so stoked on when you're playing golf? Like, what? Why do you like?
It's easy.
The next
It's easy.
4 weekends are like filled, and you're like so jacked.
It's the greatest sport in the world, easily.
No. I'm looking for more like why you do it.
Well, I'm going to tell you why it's the greatest sport in the world.
Okay.
Because it's the only sport that you can do your entire life and continue to get better as you get older, even into you can play it until you die, essentially. And you're always competing against yourself
Okay.
in a different venue. So give me a sport that you like.
Soccer, basketball.
Sucks. Simply. Like, no, I'm just saying, but like, you're always going to be on a soccer field,
Right.
and you're always going to need other players to play soccer.
Oh, okay.
Golf, you don't need any of that. You can go
Yeah.
out by yourself. You can go out with buddies. You can play casually. You can play competitively, and you can play competitively until you die.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
And-
I see that.
There's always I mean, it's a game like chess where the adage is it takes a day to learn and a lifetime to master kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
So you can never beat golf. Like, even if you are the best golfer in the world, the next day you may have a terrible day and you're like, why
Right.
do I play this game?
Right.
And then the next day you might shoot the best round of your life and have a hole in one or whatever. Like,
So
And-
it's
and
always
that's another-
it's always keeping you on your toes.
always, and you have the potential in a round of golf to hit the best shot of your life. Like, it's just, you have that potential. In soccer, you've probably seen just about every kind of shot and goal. As basketball, football, you've seen.
I mean,
Whenever you watch the top 10 plays, like, it's always
Well,
a
it-
play that you've seen
but
relatively
it
before.
also, well, depending. Like, I just started watching Quarterback on Netflix,
sure.
and I don't watch sports of any kind. I think I've talked about that here a lot. It's like I'm not into following sports. I don't play much sports. Sports really aren't my thing, but I love sports documentaries. I loved Full Swing. I love like 30 for 30.
Sure.
And so basically, and I love watching Quarterback now, which is like following 3 big quarterbacks of, whatever. And it's just like, I think that is more exciting. It's more action packed. And I think that's why people like it so much more rather than
No,
golf.
for sure.
And I there is something that I've never thought about is like, yeah, you can play golf by yourself. You can play it with friends. You can do a lot of stuff like that. But I think, yeah. I'm still just like curious why you're just like so stoked on it.
So, two things you just said there. Watching golf
Yeah.
is a different thing than playing golf.
Okay.
Because, like, take football, take basketball, take any sport that you watch on TV that's got a huge draw. Like, football's the biggest.
Right.
Right? Your time to play professional football is basically from 18 to 27,
Right.
maybe.
So golf you can play for your whole life.
Well, I'm just saying,
basically.
like, those athletes have to do something after. You can't keep playing competitive football into your 30s and 40s unless you're Tom Brady, which is 1 in a billion,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So when you watch what happened this past weekend, which was the American Century Championship, whatever, in Tahoe, and it's basically all of the professional athletes, musicians, that they have this golf tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So Steph Curry was there.
I saw that he got a hole in one. Yep.
Yeah, and he ended up winning the tournament by making this
Steph?
eagle putt on 18. Yeah.
Good for him, man. He's
So it's
just
all
a
based on kind of like, I mean,
national
he's a good
treasure.
golfer.
He's a national treasure.
I mean,
that one.
He is. He's tried to like pursue golf like kind of casually into like the upper levels, and eventually he'll probably retire. I mean, he's a 1% golfer. Like he's in the top 1%.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, so he's really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Essentially, if you can break 75
Yeah.
on a course,
Okay.
you're in the top 1%.
See, I don't know what that means, but that's wow.
So like
good for
when you're
him.
score wise,
Yeah.
like usually courses are par 72. If you can shoot a 75 or lower, you are better than 99% of golfers.
Okay, well, good for him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
So-
sure we probably lost half of our listeners.
No, the golf community is backing me up right now. They're like,
there might
Kyle's
be
finally talking
a few.
about.
There might be a few
Yeah.
for sure.
I just think, everybody should try golf at least once. Go to Top Golf, smack some balls, and tell me it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but I still have yet to take these golf clubs out. I mean, granted, it has been the rainiest summer that I have ever experienced up here. I feel like I'm living in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest,
Which we are.
But like also, I'm thinking like Seattle. Like when we lived in Washington,
Puyallup,
it was
yeah.
like it was raining a lot when we lived in Washington. Remember that? And
Oh, yeah. Every sunny day, we'd go out and play football in that field. And,
yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. But yeah, so anyway, I'm still kind of bummed. I still want to get these clubs out, and I still want to go smack a few balls and just see what it's like. Because I think I said this the other day, like, or the other podcast. I keep saying that, but like, I don't really have a hobby, and so I'm still like looking for that thing. And
You're
I
going to be
think
a grill guy, a golf guy,
a mushroom guy,
a mushroom guy.
allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly,
Yeah. What was the other one I saw? It's basically like you commit to fantasy football, golf, grilling, or I forget what the other one is. And it's like you have to pick a personality like after. Oh, softball.
And see,
Because
that's another one. I've
competitive
never done softball either. I've never been asked to be on a team ever.
yeah, I mean, maybe you don't know enough softball guys.
I know
Or girls.
I know quite a few amount of people.
I know a whole team.
I do. I think multiple people. I've just never been asked. I think it's like maybe. I mean,
Well, like you said, you're not like a sports. Like
I'm not a
you're
sports guy.
You're not
a sports
you're
guy.
not BSing it up.
I
with
honestly,
that,
I want to play it. I want to be a fill-in, a substitute, because every week that's a big commitment, big time commitment for like.
Oh, and at least once a week sometimes.
Yeah,
You're playing
that's
one
the
or two
thing.
games
So I'm
a
like,
week.
I'm down to like, hey, if you need help today, oh, I got nothing going on today, I'll come. But like every Tuesday night for the next, foreseeable
16 weeks.
future, like,
Yeah.
you know what? No.
If you guys need help polishing off that fireball, I'll be in the dugout.
I think
doing my job.
I think that's something I'd be more interested in. But in talking about drinking, I had my first therapy session last night. See that segue?
What did that have to do with drinking?
Therapy, a lot, baby, a lot.
Okay, so the therapy covered drinking.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I mean,
I was gonna say.
I thought it was just kind of like a good segue. We talked about drinking, of course. I talked about drinking with my therapist, but anyway, I did a therapy session. I feel like I was like telling, other people to, no, you should try
Who was
therapy
it?
if you're struggling. I went to BetterHelp, the app.
Okay, so the online one, and
Yeah.
got set up with somebody.
I got set up with this old white guy named Raymond Butts. Yeah, not
I
a
think
bad
you got
name, right?
pranked, dude. You got pranked.
Yeah, he's probably not a therapist at all.
Yeah.
We just talked for 45 minutes and just
The janitor
just
down at-
bullshitted. He's like Googling stuff like dealing
Yeah.
with
Trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma.
It's just like,
trauma.
yeah.
trauma.
So what you want to do is just let it go.
Talk to your parents.
Yeah, just let it
Yeah.
go. Anyway, no, I mean, it was definitely interesting. I was definitely a fan. I definitely am like
So was it-
curious about doing it.
Set it up like so you guys were on a phone call.
Yeah, so and, I
or
mean, like,
FaceTime?
and for people like I'm not like in depression or anything. It's just something that I think I've been wanting to try, and I'm like, you know what? I think now's a good time to start it. So I just looked up BetterHelp.
And Mr. Butts
Downloaded
is the
it,
guy.
and then you have to fill out like a questionnaire, and it's like, do you want a religious or a non-religious therapist? Do you want a male or female? Do you want help with your career or success? And so it's like you're going through this whole thing, and then they're like, all right, we'll email you when you have a match. So they match you with someone, and I think they like to do it in Alaska because he's in Fairbanks. And so they matched me with Raymond Butts, and we chatted, we texted a little bit because you can text through the app. And so I was just like, okay. And he was like, oh, give me a little introduction of who you are. And so I was like telling him, I was like, hey, this, here's some things that we could talk about. Here's what I want to talk about or want to work on. A lot of it has to do with like my business and my career and growth. And so just chatted, and then we set up a phone call for last night. And so I did it, and it was actually really fun because it was like a complete stranger. I don't need this guy to like me. Never met him in my life. Don't even really know what he looks like except for his little thumbnail picture. And it was like kind of freeing just to be like totally open with a stranger. And so I kind of enjoyed that aspect of it, of just being like, I don't give a fuck what this guy does. He's never going to see my Instagram. He's, an old white man that probably doesn't even know what Instagram is. But here's a crazy thing. And I guess this is a little bit more on the personal side. So we're talking about Jared. And so we've talked about Jared last year. We talked about how he died in a helicopter accident. And Jared was a close friend of both of ours. And that's something that's still been coming up. And Jared died in a Chinook helicopter, which is like a big military helicopter. My therapist, I didn't even tell him this, and I told him Jared died in a helicopter accident, and he was like, "Oh, that's crazy." He's like, "I used to fly Chinook helicopters in Vietnam." Like, holy shit! I was like, "That's not a coincidence." I think that's pretty cool. I was like, "All right," and so we talked, and he talked to me about like this time where like he was in Vietnam and had to try to save a bunch of people, and he couldn't. So it's like dark stuff. And so we went pretty heavy. Definitely recommend it. BetterHelp. This isn't sponsored.
.com.
This isn't
Yeah.
sponsored at all.
Ask for Ray Butts.
I just thought that was really an interesting thing because it was like we talk about fixing ourselves or getting better, and then we're always like big advocates for therapy, and I'm like, I've never fucking done this, and I'm telling people to go do it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And it was like it's like $80 a week, and I can message him whenever I want, but we only have one scheduled phone call or FaceTime a week right now.
Sure.
And so yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's interesting because I think everybody, and we talked about this a lot with like Nick, is because I think everybody's like, man, I should go do like therapy.
Yeah.
Just because I'm sure, we all have like scar tissue of some sort that is why the way we are and why we react certain ways to certain things, and certain things trigger us.
Bingo.
To whatever. We all have it. Like that's what makes us who our personalities
Yeah.
a lot of times is because of things we've been through. And sometimes it does feel like it would be nice to like dig into that a little harder with somebody that knows what they're doing, because when you're talking to other friends and stuff, they're not qualified for the most part to tell you jack. And we just do that to kind of like feel better.
I think for me, it was like, I definitely am a talker outer of my shit. Like, let's just talk my shit through. And so he would just let me, spew for a little bit. And then he would sit there and be like, okay, well, what about this? And then I would spew a little bit more. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm like towards the end of the session, I'm like, holy shit. Okay, that's actually a really good like light bulb moment. I was like, oh, I have to write this down. So it's like that definitely helpful. And also, like, I just think, I don't know, I'm not going to a therapist or someone I know where I'll see them locally. I think that's kind of another thing too. Like, oh, that's my therapist, like walking through the aisle of Fred Meyer's. But it's kind of nice because like there's no, like, I don't have to talk to this guy. There is no like awkward like introduction phase because it's like, we got 45 minutes. Like, let's get down to brass tacks. So I thought it was cool, man. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
So far. I've only done it once.
One time.
Yeah.
But that's all you need sometimes to realize it's something that's good for you to do.
Yeah. So, well, anyways, I think that was pretty good. I think we're going to do this a couple more times, just me and you. I don't know how many, but of course this will come in every once in a while. We'll sprinkle this in. We are going to get back to guests, like we said a couple weeks ago. But schedules, man. Schedules.
No, we have, the calendar is full. We've just had to move some around schedule wise because essentially for people that, the behind the scenes look is we contact people or people contact us that we think should be on the podcast, and we send them links to book, and we allow them to book at their own leisure. And sometimes this is months in advance.
Right.
We have interviews scheduled for
all the way till
late as
September.
September.
We're basically, we have a podcast, and we like to do one a week. And so we have, I think up until mid-September, we have one scheduled a week to record.
And sometimes when you book that far in advance, sometimes stuff comes up a week out or 2 days out. And so it's got to get moved. And that's okay because this podcast is not the end all be all. People have lives. We want to just give people, as our guests, an opportunity to come on at their leisure so that they can give you the best information and all that stuff. So we're not sweating it. We just did 47 minutes and I acted like I was God. And so we're doing fine.
Yeah, we're doing okay, fine. Man. We're doing okay.
And Stephen may or may not have done illegal drugs. And he saw a therapist named Mr. Butts.
So man, what a wild ride we just took.
You should not have sent him those full body pictures, though. I do not think that was a good idea. Did he ask for pictures?
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah. That's the red flag number one.
Really? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Like,
well, every time I've done it, it's
I guess that would be weird. Like, hey, Steven, let me see what you look like. I'm like, you can easily Google me.
Go ahead
Mr.
and leave
Butts.
your face out.
Well, on that hand, everybody, thank you for listening to Kyle and I today. We will be back next week with another podcast.
Thank you for listening. As always, go check out gofixyourselfpodcast.com. Grab yourself a shirt, a mug, anything that tickles your fancy. And as always, we'll be back next week.
Thanks for tuning in. Kyle and Steven will be back with a new episode next week. In the meantime, check out gofixyourselfpodcast.com. And remember to always go fix yourself.